Hey y'all, welcome to Create Happy. We are painting this Highlander cow today. I have it all sketched out. I will show you how to sketch it all out so that you can successfully achieve this cutie. Okay, so this is a 16 by 20 canvas. This is actually a canvas board, so you can use a canvas board or you could use a canvas, and if you have the edges, I just happen to grab a board because that's what I have available. So and then what we're going to do is we're going to sketch it out, but before we do that, let's look at everything that you need. So let's start with the 16 by 20 canvas. I have my paint water here. I have poured my paints. I will go through those in just a moment. And then I have a couple of things. I have a pencil to sketch everything out. I have what I call Big Daddy brush. This is probably maybe a 1-inch brush, but a 3/4 1-inch brush would be just fine, and it's flat. I have this one, Little Mama, that I call Little Mama. This is just a smaller flat brush. This is like my favorite brush to use. So I often find myself just defaulting to this brush. But and then I also have a round brush as well, as you can see. So you only really need those 3 brushes and a pencil, and you are off to the races. I also have with me a paper towel to wipe my paint off with, and then that's really it. I do have an extra plate today for mixing all these paints because there are so many of them. Normally I just like mix right on my plate, but this seemed to consume the plate today. So we will be using another mixing plate when this one fills up. So let's talk about the different colors that we are using today. Now, I'd like to say when you're creating happy, to create your happy, right? So I'm going to show you the colors that we're using today. You might choose different colors, and that is okay. Like, if you want a purple cow today, then you should paint a purple cow. Just because we're painting it brown doesn't mean that you have to paint it brown. So the colors that I have currently are a dark brown, a medium brown, and a light brown. And then I also have a dark red. This is a phthalo red, although if I take out the lighting, it kind of, phthalo red kind of goes, looks a little pink. Like if I put it up against my pink apron, it's almost an exact match. But anyway, so that's phthalo red, or like a bright pink. And then this is purple. You can see that very well. Purple, and then I've got a phthalo blue, a phthalo green, and a green oxide, and a chrome yellow, and white and black. So, get as close as you can if you want to follow along. And again, like I said, just use what you have. Don't stress too much over if you don't have a certain color. Like, you don't need to go out and buy it. Like, just work with what you got. I don't want to stress you out. We're here to create happy, not here to create stress. Okay, so those will be the colors. Now, let's get started. A couple of years ago, I did a Highlander cow as well, and I talked about the meaning of the Highlander cow, which is really fun. And if you want to learn more about the Highlander cow and its meaning, then you could certainly watch that video either on our YouTube channel or in the Happiest group on Facebook. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to show you how. I don't want this to overwhelm you. Most of this is just shapes. So I'm going to actually show you in paint so that it shows up a little bit better on how you can sketch this out. So I'm just taking this round brush here. I'm going to use a little one. And I'll dip it in brown paint. Again, I'm just showing you in paint. You will sketch that. You can sketch this out in actual pencil. So when we start a painting, one of the things that is really helpful is to always find your true middle. Okay, so I just kind of eyeball it. I think if I fold this canvas in half this way and I fold it in half this way, where would the seams be? And so as I look at it, this is my middle. So I just draw a little cross right there. So that's my middle. Okay, now from there, then everything stems or goes from that point. So this is a point that you're going to keep using throughout the whole sketch process. Now, in this case, the nose starts for me about a finger width down from the middle. So just make a little line right there. Okay. And that then is where the top of your nose will be. Again, for me, it's about 4 finger lengths down from there. So then you're just going to, from the top of its nose, 4 finger lengths down, you're just going to draw another line. All right, so now we got to sketch this thing out. So again, I've already sketched mine. I'm showing you how to sketch yours out if you haven't pre-sketched it. So now that we have the top and the bottom of the nose, now really, if you look at this, this is just an oval shape. I mean, it's got other shapes in and around this, but we're just going to draw basically an oval shape connecting the top and the bottom. And then that's going to be its nose. Okay. Again, you're probably doing this in pencil. I'm doing it in paint so that it shows up a little bit better. And then from there, we've just got like kind of this sad face, if you will. So just draw an upside down smile. Okay. And that becomes part of its nose as well. So you should have an oval with an upside down smile. And now we've got to sketch in the nostrils. Now the nostrils, if you look at it, they're really just 2 circles. And so if I'm starting from my center, right, I'm just going to go, maybe not even, maybe like a pinky width over on each side. So this is where I'm going to start, pinky width over on each side. And then you can just draw 2 circles, right? 2 circles, and then just 2 lines straight up from there, kind of just curve a little bit to give it a little bit of shape. And now you have your nostrils. So this will all get filled in. All right. Now from there, let's go back to center. And what I want to do is I want to draw or find the point where all of its hair is going to stem from, right? So like we all have a part in our hair. So whether your part is in the middle or it's on the side or whatever, we need to figure out where that part and where that crown of his head is. And from there, that's where all the hair is going to come out and stem from. So I'm just going to come up. If I spread my hand, it's about a hand width up. I'm just going to draw an X right there. So now I know what direction his hair comes from, or her, whatever you want. Okay. Now from there, we still have to draw his face, right? And his horns. And really, once you've got that in, everything else is so much easier. So I'm just going to draw a circle. Again, I need some guide points. So it's about a hand width down from the bottom of his nose. I'm just going to draw a little line there. And for me, it's about 2 hand widths. Maybe if I just do my 4 fingers from there. Okay. So you've got your the bottom of your circle and the top of your circle. And you're just going to draw a circle. And these are just going to be your guideline, your guide marks. Okay. So you're just going to draw a circle. That's going to give the shape of his face. Now it's not really going to be a circle, but this is where you're going to start. Okay. And then from there, we're going to sketch in his horns. This is just kind of like a flat smiley face as I look at it. So when we come out, we're just going to come straight out from his head here. And we're just going to go whoop and just do like a half of a smile up. And then the same thing on the other side, just like a half of a smile up. Okay. And then it is about 3 finger widths from there. So I'm going to give myself some guidelines. And then I'm just going to come up and circle around. Okay, he doesn't have pointy horns. He's got rounded horns. And now you got your horns. Everything from here is so easy. You're really now just providing yourself some guidelines so you know what direction when you do the hair. So I just randomly, started from the X, and I just kind of gave myself some some guidelines. So the ones on the top just kind of come up. Everything kind of starts from here. And then right here are his ears. So I don't know if you can kind of see that, but the shape here is his ears. So I just kind of loosely sketch that in so you can kind of start to see the shape of his ears. Now we know he doesn't have a circle face, so we're going to draw his hair. I'm just kind of giving it some whiffs so I know where to come out. And then let's go ahead and get his kind of like his body hair down here. So you're just going to come out from his face, and I'm just going to give it some curlies. So I know that that's where that comes from. Now he has the inside of his hair. So again, I'm just giving it direction. Remember, everything kind of goes back to this point. So his hair wisps around his nose or her. So again, I'm just kind of providing a little bit of that direction. And then lastly, let's sketch in very loosely what his necklace, I guess I would say, is going to be. His flower necklace. All right, so I just have, this is his neck, right? It's going to kind of follow that, what you already did at the bottom of his head. Excuse me. So I just kind of extended it out a little bit. And then he's got 3 flowers. So look, maybe yours has 4. Maybe yours has 5. Maybe yours has none. I don't know. But in this case, my Create Happy is going to be 3. So I'm just going to mark those with circle. These are my 3 flowers are going to be 2 kind of over here. 1 directly under his nose, 1 sort of to the right, and then 1 kind of off to the left. Right? So I'm just kind of sketching that in. And then we also have these other almost like tulip looking flowers on here. So just with a W or with a U, I am going to just guide myself on where I'm going to put those. And it may change when you start doing it, and that's fine too. Right? That's fine too. All right. Once you have that sketch out, I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush. We now have the background of the lines. You can put this in now. You can put it in later. I just, when I sketched it out, I just kind of did it. Remember, we found center. And so straight from center horizontally, you're going to have your lines come straight out from there. And then I just kind of, a hand width, maybe a loose hand width down. I've got the planks and the lines, and there we go. All right, y'all. I'm going to now rinse my brush, take a drink of my coffee, and we are going to start painting. Now, one of the things that you want to think about, like, you got to trust the process. Your Highlander cow is going to look different from mine. If I were to do this, I've done this now already a couple times. Each time looks a little different. That's fine, right? That's the beauty of creativity. That's the beauty of life. So don't worry so much. You make your happy. You create your happy. Enjoy the process and just have a little fun. All right. So with that, I am going to mix up some paint for our background. I am going to take my big brush, Big Daddy, and I'm going to take like a really big scoop of the dark brown and a really big scoop of the light brown. Okay, so I'm going to start there. I'm going to mix. I'm going to mix that on my plate. I'm going to take a little bit more of the medium brown. And then we're going to create like a wash on the background here. So what we want to do is we want to add in a little bit of water from our paint cup. So I'm just going to dip my brush in the water and just really thin this out just a little bit so that it's just a wash on the background. And now we're just going to paint the background. And these are just like short strokes, right? So you're just kind of back and forth very lightly. I need some more water so it's more of a wash. And I'm just going right around where my cow would be. If it's not transparent, then you probably don't have enough water. Just really fast little strokes. Okay. Light pressure, just going around. You want to still be able to see your sketch. So if you have painted over your sketch, then you probably don't have enough water. So this is just a wash for the background, very, very light. And some of these white spots. It's okay to have them, of course, just on some of the bigger ones. So now we have our background wash. Now to really give it that weathered look, we need to add in some darker spots. So I'm just now going to go right in with my dark brown, just with my brush. I haven't rinsed it or anything. And I'm just going to kind of randomly get some darker spots on here. Don't think much of it. Wherever your brush hits the board works. Okay, so we're just trying to give it that really wood, like grainy sort of look. All right, now that we've got that in, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse my brush. Take a sip of my coffee, okay? And let me show you how to clean your brush. So you're gonna dunk it in the water and then just kind of like brush the bottom of the cup to really loosen up that paint. And then I just kind of drag it up from there. And then I dry it off on my paper towel, all right? So now we are going to create a more of like a blue or like a turquoise background. This is where you can get super creative if you wanted to. So if you wanted to paint your background pink, you could paint it pink. If you want it to be purple, you could paint it purple. It doesn't really matter. Just do what makes you happy, right? So create happy. We're here to create happy today. Okay. I am going to take my paint over here and I'm going to take a scoop of blue and put that on my mixing plate. And I'm going to take a scoop of the bright or faded white. Let's add some white here. We'll see what this looks like. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty. I might lighten it up just a little bit. Okay, so now I've created kind of a turquoisey color. I really like that color. Okay, so now we are going to take that color and we're just going to go right over what we've done. Very short strokes. Okay, I will give you that really like weathered board look. Let these kind of like dark spots, really shine through. That will make it look like much more of like a board, like wood. Now, if you don't like the farmhouse look, if that's not your style, all good. You could just paint like a solid background if you wanted to, or if you're not liking the way that this is turning out or looking, perfect, no problem, right? You do you. I need to mix some more paint here. Okay, I'm not like caring much that it goes into my sketch as long as I don't completely cover up my sketch and I don't know what to do. So just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Short strokes. It actually looks a lot darker on the camera than it does in person, so I don't know, maybe keep that in mind. I swear if you make the sounds, it's a lot easier. All right, just coming in a little bit over my sketch so we don't have like a complete stop. All right, so now your background should look something like this. Okay, I kind of covered up my lines. I can kind of still see them, but let's put those back in. So I'm just going to rinse my brush. I'm going to go back in with just the dark brown. And I still have my guidelines here, right? So I can kind of see. And just with like the edge of my brush, I'm going to hold it I'm going to hold it so it goes down like horizontal. And I'm going to add in those lines. You might need to add a little bit of black, depending on how dark your background ended up. Otherwise, you could just use the brown. Now, a little bit of black goes a long way. So if you're mixing that, just keep that in mind. Okay. See, I think I still see this line from earlier. Right here and right here. All right, so now I've got my lines back in. It's now time to start on the cow. So we are going to mix some more brown and start painting the fur. We're going to start at the top of the head with short, choppy strokes. Okay, so what I want you to do is take some of, you might have already mixed it a little bit of this, right, of the brown. So you're just going to add a little bit more of the dark brown to that. So I'm just going to take what you might have to remix it depending on how much you mixed before. But just a reminder, it was the dark brown and the medium brown. So I'm just adding in some more dark brown to my original mix. And then I'm taking my round brush with that dark brown. And we're going to start just kind of building in some of his hair. So remember, we did the X, so we're just going to kind of start from there. And if you kind of like push and lift, that'll give it that really kind of hair feeling, if you will. So I'm just going to just come in here with my round brush and start building this in. I would say have a little fun with this. Get my ears in here. Just think about the direction of the hair, and you're just really you're starting to create, you know, the structure of his face. Just follow your guidelines that you originally created. Don't forget, you've got some fur down here. And I was just like from the center here and then kind of just pull it out. You're going to layer this. I mean, there's going to be so many layers on top of this when you're all done. So don't worry too much. You're just getting in where you're just kind of really getting in what the structure of the hair is going to be, right? Like the direction, I should say, not structure. The direction. So if it looks a little messy right now, perfect. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to mix a little bit of the white in with this brown. So you should come up with a very, very light brown and just like a dip, like that's it, just a little dot of the black. So you should come up with like this brownish gray color. Okay. And once you have that, we are going to paint the bottom half of the horns. And then we're going to come back in with white and add that to the top half. So the way you do this is just with your kind of brown gray, kind of paint it a little over my horn. So I'm just going to pull this back in. Okay, and paint the bottom half of these horns here. Do that on the other side. Okay, and then I'm going to wipe my brush off. Okay, you don't need to rinse it. I'm just going to wipe it off on my paper towel. And then I'm just going to go straight in with white. And I'm going to now paint the top portion of my horns. And then I'm going to pull that white down so that it blends with what we just created, the gray, kind of the gray, right? So just go over that center. And that should blend right in with the shadow and the gray. Okay, again, just going straight in with white. Might even kind of be hard to see on here, and then I'm just going right on, I start at the top, and then I'm just going to pull it down and blend it in with the bottom portion. So now you have a little bit of a shadow on his horns. Now with the white, while I have it on my brush, I'm going to very loosely paint in the kind of the garland around the neck. So I'm just going to go right in with white. And I still kind of have my line here, so I'm just going to kind of follow my line. Where is this little necklace here? And then I'm going to, from there, I'm going to paint my flowers white. Again, I'm just marking them. So I'm just doing a circle, and then I'm just going to push and drag, just for the little petals. You're going to, again, layer on top of this. You're just getting it blocked in. So I just went right over my sketch, over my 3, and then I've got my U's in here. Looks like I got a little blue on there. Now I'm also going to add some little leaves, and so again I'm just blocking them in really. So the best way to add these is you've got your line right here. Again, just same with the petals, how you pushed and dragged. So you're just going to push and drag, push and drag. You can either go from the outside in or the inside out. If you go from the inside out, you're just going to lift your brush. If you go from the outside in, you're really just kind of dabbing. And if you've got a round brush like this, it's already kind of like the shape. So you're just marking in your leaves. Push and drag, push and drag. Okay, that's it. If you end up with like a really big just blob, it probably means that you have too much paint on your brush. Okay, all right. We also need to kind of block in some of these darker parts of our cow. So we should name this cow, yeah? So in order to do that, we're going to add some black with our brown. Okay, so I'm just mixing it straight on my palette because it's already right here, very convenient. And we're gonna really just do the darker parts, so around the nose, the nostril, etc. So I probably have too much paint right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna come in. It should be a very dark brown, and I'm just blocking this in. So it's really kind of like this triangle above his nose. Okay, and then it goes around his nose, and then kind of comes down to the garland. And you can also block in. And then while I have this dark, I'm just going to fill in some of these shadows. Not a lot here, just kind of filling in some shadows where we've got some white space that will help us create some depth. Okay, let's go ahead and rinse our brush, and let's go to the next step. So we are now going to mix some white with some red, and we're going to paint the snout of the cow. So you can take, I'm taking the kind of the darker red. I'm going to have little mama here. She's going to take a little bit of the dark red and a little bit of the white. I don't even have that much. We're just painting, giving this. We're just blocking in his nose. Maybe a little bit more pink. Or white, sorry. You could also use the round brush for this. If you feel like little mama doesn't give you enough control. All right, you see I kind of painted over his nostril there. That's fine. You'll have a chance to come back and shape it all up. All right, then rinse your brush. And then we are going to mix the light brown with the dark brown and a little bit of red. So go ahead and rinse your brush. I'm actually going to use the bigger brush for this one. No, I changed my mind. No, I didn't. I'm going to use the big brush to mix here. So I just rinsed, clean that off. I'm going to take, looks like I need a little bit more brown. Add some more brown here. So I'm going to add some brown. Okay, I'm just gonna take a scoop of the brown, mix that on my mixing plate, some of the light brown, mix, 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 and then a little bit of the red to that. You should have this like, should end up with this like brown, like this deep or dark, I should say, red. Added a little bit more of the dark brown to that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do a wash. So I'm just gonna add some water just like we did in the beginning so that it's very transparent. Should be very transparent. You can just kind of test it on your plate to see if it's transparent. If it's not, then you need to add more water. So we're going to add a little bit of this to kind of like the top center of his horns, and then we're going to come down and give him a little wash. So I'm just going to take Big Daddy and I'm just going to kind of wash right over kind of just the top center. Whoops. I'll blend that in with my finger. Okay, right here. And that should make his horns look even more 3D. And then I'm going to come with this wash. Again, very translucent. That is not translucent enough. You need to add more water. It should be very, very runny. Okay, and just with the direction of his hair, you're just kind of adding in this wash. So I'm going back over like the same similar strokes, the same direction of his hair. We're just kind of filling in some of that white space without disturbing what we've already created. So if you're covering him up, then you don't have enough water. So if you're losing what you've already done, you don't have enough water. I just keep adding water. Start from the X and short strokes. Adding more water. I'm still going in the direction of his hair, right? So I'm still giving it like this similar strokes as we did before. I'm just kind of filling in this white area. Don't forget his body down here. All right. Now we've got more of a wash on top of him. So he's really starting to come to life here. Got a little bit of white in the area. I didn't mean to, so I'm just gonna go fill that back. All right, y'all, he is starting to look like something, right? Okay, now we're going to move on. We're going to now use our round brush. So you can put this brush in the dunk tank, as I call it, and we're going to mix white with some of the light brown that you have. So we're going to make it even lighter. And then we're just going to add another layer of his curly hair on top of what we've already created. So you can also, if you want, you could also go straight in with the light brown without lightening it. I'm going to lighten mine up a little bit. Okay, so just add a little bit of white to my light brown to just make it a little lighter. And you're just going to come right back in. I don't know if you can still see your X, but you're going to come right back in and go over. Now, I can already tell mine's a little wet here, so you may have to let this dry. So as we let this dry, I want to talk about, I love talking about happy, right? So we're creating happy here, and as I often say, and you'll hear me say it, like, you create your happy. So you create what you want to create. You use the colors that you want to use. It's really about the process. And art is such an amazing way to release stress, to overcome burnout, to get through hard times. And it doesn't have to be something to overcome something either, right? So like, you can use creativity to actually extend your happiness, or use creativity to expand on something great that is going on in your life. So I love to use art. I'll tell you my story at some point, maybe a different story for a different day, but art is such a release in so many different ways. And if we look at the psychology of happiness, sorry, I had to take a sip of my coffee. All right, if we look at the psychology of happiness, your happiness is really comes from three different areas of your life, right? So you've got it comes from mainly from your genes, like your DNA genes, not the jeans that you wear. So your genes, your environment, and your activities. And it's interesting when I'm speaking and I ask, what do you think is the number one thing that attributes people's happiness? And usually what I hear back, the majority of the time what I hear back is it's your environment, like where you are, right? Which makes a lot of sense, especially in America, because we put so much emphasis on our environment. Like, what is our house? Is it nice? Is it big? Do we live in a place, if you want to live in the mountains, do I live in the mountains? If you want to live at the beach, do you live at the beach? Do you, what are you surrounding yourself with? What type of environment are you surrounding yourself with? And then that's supposed to create our happiness, which it does have a little bit of an effect, but in fact, it is not the number one contributor to happiness. The number one contributor to happiness is actually our genes. So that could be good news for you, or that could be bad news for you, depending on what your genes are, right? So some people have a predisposed the deletion variant that actually makes you more negative than positive. So there's a whole bunch of science around that. We're not going to go really deep into that right now, but that is, and some of you may have been born into a naturally happy, positive family. So that's good news for you. So that's 50% of your happiness. But the other 50% of your happiness is actually from your environment and your activities, which is why I feel like creativity is such a big component of our happiness and what we do to stay positive and to create happiness within our own lives. So we can control that 50% of it, but we cannot control the other 50%. So I just say, well, why not take what we can control and use that, right? Do what we can do in order to create that happiness for ourselves. So anyway, I thought I would share that with y'all, and hopefully by now your first layer has dried. If not, you could certainly pause this video, and you could even blow dry it. I don't have my blow dryer out right now, otherwise I'd probably do that. But we're going to go right in now with this light brown that we mixed. So again, we took some light brown and added some white to it. If you didn't have the light brown to begin with, that's fine, right? Just take your whatever brown you have, and you're going to add more white. So we're just layering, and we're just adding some depth. Again, we're going to start from that X, and we're going to add in some of our curly hairs. And this is just a time for you to relax, let go, and do you. Like, where do those hairs go for you? And I don't think much about it, and I'm doing very quick strokes. So I'm not pushing so hard, on my brush, but I'm just doing very light curly strokes, following the direction of the hair that we originally sketched out. To mix some more paint here. Got some red in my other one. All right. So just adding in these curlies. Don't lose your little ears out here. So cute. All right. I like to start at the top and then move from there. And I'm right-handed, so I guess I naturally work from left to right. Oh man, it's just so cute. Don't forget the bottom as well. Kind of like less detailed, I guess I would say, on the bottom, on the body. If you want to be more detailed where you want the focus to be, and less detailed where you don't want the focus to be. So I don't care so much. I don't want everyone focusing on the body. I obviously want them focusing on the head and, the garland here. So I'm just a little less detailed, I guess I would say, a little more messy. Maybe there's one out here. All right, we're starting to come together, folks. I'm gonna rinse my brush. Now we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna make an even lighter version. So you just want to take your color and add in even more white. Now be super careful not to completely cover, the strands that you've already done. We're just adding layers to it. We're not covering, right? So just keep that in mind. These are more of like the highlights. So you just want to, so there'll be less of them. How's that? There's going to be less of the really light versions. So I have quite a bit of white in here. We'll see how this comes out. We may even add like one more layer. All right, so I'm just gonna, again, start from the crown and just add in these very light curly hairs, following the same direction that I've been following all along. It kind of like rolls around his snout. Poor guys, I don't even know how they see. If you have like blobs, it means that you have too much paint on your brush. So I like to spin it into my paint. I call it spin it to win it, right? So spin it to win it. So I mix my paint and then spin it to win it. Just very lightly adding in some more highlights. Don't forget the top. Add in a little bit of curl. All right, we are looking furry, friends. Whew. Okay, now we are ready to start with the necklace. Call it a necklace? I've been calling it a necklace, some garland. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it is fine. So I'm going to, again, take my round brush and I'm going to mix some white, like half white and half yellow. So that'll give us a really bright yellow. And I'm going to paint the centers of the petals on the daisies, which I can still kind of see poking through here. So I'm just going to take, I guess I'll use my mixing plate for this. There's not a lot, but I'm just going to take some white or some yellow, and I need to add some white. I keep running out of white, y'all. Okay, and then mix, mix, mix. Mix it over here. Mix, mix, mix. I always like adding white with yellow. I don't know what it is. It brightens it. It feels better. Okay, so I'm just gonna come in here and I'm just going to push. Here's my other kind of center and my other center. I'm just pushing. Just creating a circle, but not like a perfect circle. You know, nothing in nature is perfect, so you don't have perfect circles. You don't have like exact straight lines and all those things. So I just put in those 3 little spots there. And let's see, what do we want to do next? I think let's come up and paint the nostrils and the mouth a little bit while this kind of dries. Okay, so let's mix. Same brush, I'm just going to rinse it off here. So now we're going to mix some brown, some of the dark brown, some of the medium brown. Let's start there. So I'm just going to take a scoop of the dark brown and the medium brown and mix, mix, mix. Maybe a little bit more of the dark brown and a tip of black. Okay, let's go in now and fix these nostrils. So I'm just going to kind of go in. I think I want a little bit more. I'm going to go in here. If you had a smaller brush, you could use it right here. Okay, so we have his nostrils, and now let's do, if you've lost kind of the mouth, let's do the mouth, and then a little bit around the nose. So I'm going to come back in here. Remember we had that sad face. I'm going to come back around his nose and just outline, clean up those lines a little bit. Fill in a little bit of these shadows around. Okay, looks so sad. We don't want him to look sad. All right, while we have this little bit of shadow, what we're going to do is we're going to add just a little shadow around your middle of your daisies. So I'm just adding them kind of just at the top. I'm just kind of tapping just to add a little bit of depth, a little shadow to that. Now we're going to continue to work on the necklace. So what I want you to do now is we're going to mix some green oxide with the phthalo green, and then which is going to make a really cool a really cool green. Okay, so we're still gonna take our small round brush. Okay, I'm gonna take a scoop of my oxide green, a scoop of my phthalo green. I'm gonna mix. It's this really cool, like bright green. Okay, and then I'm gonna add in a scoop of yellow. Mix. Maybe 2 scoops of yellow. And a scoop of white, just to brighten it up a little bit. You should get this really pretty green. Now remember all the like little push petals that we did? We're just gonna go kind of right back over that. So push and drag, push, drag, push, drag. And I like to just kind of start, I'm just very random by the way. I just like to start at the bottom and just go to, if you need to draw in your center line, you kind of can here. So now you just kind of follow the line, push, drag, spin your brush. I'm kind of like changing the direction, like moving the direction as I go. And I'm going to come up on the top. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, and then I want you to rinse your brush. And now we're going to mix white with a little bit of yellow, so more white than yellow. So it's not going to be this bright of yellow, it's going to be more white. And then we're going to now do the petals of the daisy. So I've got actually this right here. So I'm just going to take that. Again, more white than yellow, just a dab of yellow. So I got some green hanging out on my brush. And we're just going to do the petals. Now it's the same process, right? Push, drag, but they're a little bit bigger than the leaves. So I'm just push, drag, and just come to the center of your daisy. Push, drag, push, drag. Now we're going to rinse your brush. We're going to come back over the center once again. And now we're just going to go straight in with yellow. Okay, so I'm just going to dab. Brighten those up even more. Now let's do the purple flowers. So these are more like tulips, right? So we're going to, it's a little bit of a similar style. So we are going to mix the purple with the phthalo red, which is, as I said earlier, a little bit of pink, and then some white. And it's going to create this super pretty, almost like fuchsia color. Now, if you want your tulips more pink, then add more pink. If you want them more purple, then add more purple. Add some white here, brighten it up. Spin it to win it. And if you remember, these are kind of like U-shaped. So I just kind of do my U and then I just push. I've lost some of them. I don't know where they've all gone. So I'm going to do my U and then push. Okay, this one goes this way. U and then push. Maybe do another one right here. Push. Let's see, maybe there's another one right here. Push. We've got one hanging out all the way out here. Push. I'm gonna have to connect this one because he kind of went out into La La Land. Let's see. And you can kind of just take a step back and see where you might want to add another one. Maybe another one right. Okay, so now we just have to fill in with a little bit more greenery. So we're going to take our green that we've already created. We're going to add more chrome yellow. I'm just going to take my green. I'm going to add more chrome yellow and some more white. White over here. And you should come up with like this grassy kind of green. And now we're just going to go right over, not replacing what's been done, just layering on top. So remember, just push and drag. So I'm kind of just filling in a little bit of these white spaces. And since this little guy ended up all the way out here, we're going to, we need to connect him. You can give him some leaves here. You can do one more layer if you want. I would just mix green, just the normal green and yellow. And then a significant, whoops, here's my light, a significant amount of white. It's going to be very light. It's probably not enough white. Whoa. Too much paint on that one. Okay, I'm going to let that dry just a little bit, and we're going to kind of start coming back in now and adding some of the highlights and a little bit of different features here to bring the nose home. So let's see, let's do some brown and a little bit of the red. So I'm just going to take some brown here, mix it, and a little bit of the red, mix, mix, mix. Should give us kind of this deep red again. And we need to mark maybe a little bit more brown. I need to kind of create some shadows on the nose. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to dip it into that, and I'm just going to kind of tap here on the nose in the center to create a little bit of shadow, a little bit down here. And I kind of just created like this triangle. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to go in with my light brown. I still have some mixed on here, which was the light brown and the white. So now I'm going to come just back around and tap, 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 tap right on top of the pink. So anywhere we didn't create the shadow, tap, 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 and a little bit down here. It's maybe a little too dark for me. I'm just going to go right over. Okay. Now what we want to do is I'm going to go now take my small round. I'm going to go straight in with black now and layer that on top of the nostrils. So just a little bit of black. I'm just going to, whoops, come back over the nostrils. A paint, like a paint pen, you could certainly use that here too. So I'm just making these shadows just a little deeper since this goes back, right? And then I'm just going to come back over, not this whole thing, but I'm just going to give it a little bit more shadow right on top there. All right, we're going to clean your brush really well. We're almost done, y'all. We're almost done. All right, so now we're going to add in, we're going to add another layer of petals, whoops, to the daisies. And then we're going to add a couple of highlights. And then, y'all, this can be called done. So I'm going to, I need more white again. I'm going to go straight in with white. I'm just going to spin it to win it. All right. I'm going to add in just a couple of highlights. So I'm just using the tip of my brush and I'm brushing in some highlights on top of the horns, just at the top up here. Brighten up that section. Okay. We need to add some highlights right below its mouth here. Just following the direction. Then also I'm going to add on the outside of his nostrils, maybe even a little bit over here, just a line, and a little down here. Now again with white we can come in, I'm just going to add a few more layers to his fur, not crazy. So it's not like what we did before. These are I'm just using the tip of my brush and I'm just adding in a few wisps. They're not as thick as the other ones and there's not as many. Just the tip of my brush following the direction of his hair and some curlies. I added some like right here, like on the inside. I think it really helps frame his nose. And we'll come down here. Nothing crazy. Just a few. All right. Starting to look very springy. We're almost done. Now I'm just going to go in with the white, spin it to win it. And I'm going to go back over my petals and just add another layer of white petals. Now you can keep the yellow ones like in between. So it's going to create some depth, some interest there. Spin it to win it. And again, I'm just pushing, push, drag, push, drag. It's going to tap just around the center. So I don't have those just stark lines. All right, y'all. And your spring Highlander cow is now complete. So the last thing to do is to sign your painting. You can choose whatever color you want, sign it or don't sign it, whatever you want. Thank you for being here with me today to create a little happy. I hope that you did just that. And I hope you'll join me for my next one.